All right, we've seen a little bit what a vanilla HTML, plain HTML file looks like. This is what it looks like on the browser. We're going to code this from scratch very quickly in about 5-10 minutes. So it doesn't look very appealing, but we're going to code that in HTML and add some styling to it to make it look wonderful. So what code produces this ugly web page? Let's look at the code. This is the code that produces the web page we just looked at. It has about 300 lines of code. Okay, obviously HTML is the root element that holds the head and the body. Within the head, you have your metadata and the title of the page. We'll talk about each one of these. We've already talked about it actually, but we can highlight some of the things again. The body is divided into 3 sections: the header, the main section, and the footer. Okay, the header section contains the navigation, which includes like the logo, the list of pages on your website per se. Currently, they don't have any links. And a call to action button, what you actually encourage your visitors to do. Also, you might add a search input in there if you need visitors to be able to search your website for, maybe if it's e-commerce, a product, and so on. So all of that goes in the head section. Before going into the main section, let's skip to the footer, because the head section, as you can see, takes about 20 lines of code. The footer takes about 10 lines of code or less. So let's jump into that before we go into the 300 lines of code in the main section. So the footer again has 3 things to look at. We have a division, which has footer links. We have a character entity that represents copyright and the content in there, and we also have another division that has the back to top link. Okay, we can use an image to represent this, but for now I just use that text. It can be replaced very easily. With the footer links, you probably notice social media links in here for LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. We're opening them in a blank, targeting a blank tab, so it's going to open in a new tab and so on. We're using images to actually represent our links rather than having content. So that's how we are embedding an image tag within an anchor tag. So that's it for the footer. While we're talking about that, let's actually take a look at it side by side so you can actually see what's going on here. All right, so this is our page. Let's go all the way to the bottom. And you can see these are the icons that we're talking about. The LinkedIn icon is huge. The Facebook icon is smaller. The YouTube icon is okay, but we need to fix all of these with CSS later on. For the header, let's go back up, scroll to the top. You do have your navigation, starting with your link, or rather the image logo, which we also need to resize. The links to different parts of our website, which we need to also address. And the button, which we also need to beautify with CSS. All of that is going to be fixed with CSS. All right, now that we've taken a good look at what HTML is and the web page, I'm going to take about 5 to 10 minutes just to recode this from scratch so that you can follow along. All right, so let's expand this. How would we go about writing this code? Take a brief break, think about it. Obviously, start by planning what our web page needs to look like, and then go from there. We've already seen it, so we know what it looks like, and we can jump in. All right. Okay, so we've taken a close look at the code, what it needs to look like, or at least the web page, and we know we need to reproduce that. Let's go back into our Explorer. I'm going to create a new file and start from scratch. So here we are, new file, and give it a name. Let's just call it index demo, for lack of a better term. Obviously, all our HTML files need to end with .html. Once you type it in and press enter, it creates a new file for you right here, and we start from line 1. At the bottom right, you can see HTML is being used. Our server is still running. We don't need to close it. We'll open it again when we need to restart. And prettier is good. So without much ado, let's type in. One key brings up a boilerplate. We're going to keep the device width and the scale the same. Our title is going to be 100 Days IT Challenge. We're good to go. That's about it for the head. We can add other stuff like meta, the description of the web page, using that shortcut. We say, what do we call it? Yeah, front end, I should say. I can't spell. All right, so that's about it. You can go ahead and add Vitus DK at the end, doesn't really matter. Awesome. So we added a description. We can add an author. We can also add keywords and so on. So add the keywords again. Just type in meta column KW. It's going to show you what that abbreviation does. We added that for us. The keywords we need to use, maybe HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and so on and so forth. Let's keep that for now. Now we're done with the head. We can collapse that. Within the body, we need to add a few things. We need to add the header, right? We also need to add, oopsie, The header goes in there. We also need to add the main section, and we also need to add the footer. Just like that, we have our structure set up. Within the header, we need a nav, and within the nav, we need an image. So see the shortcut what it does. When I type in nav greater than image, it actually creates an image within the nav. If we press enter, we have our image. We just need to specify the source. With the /, it gives me a list of all my folders. In there, I know I can go within the demo folder and pick up that image. That's good. Alternatively, I'll just call it the logo. That's fine. Now let's try and see what our web page looks like. If we go live, that's what we have. So let's switch back on here and collapse this, move this to the side so we can see the changes on the fly as they happen. Okay. In here, I'm going to use Alt-Z so that there is a wrap. You can always see that if you go to view, word wrap, Alt-Z. The other things I need to do is I need to add an unordered list. The unordered list should have 3 list items. So if I do it with this shortcut, it creates an unordered list, list item 1, 2, and 3. So there you go, list item 1, we're going to call it home. List item 2, can tab into the next one. We'll call that series. List item 3, we'll call that about. And that's about it. So you have those items in there. But we did not just want to have them without having a link pointing to that. So within the list item, I'm going to cut this with Ctrl-Z and type in A. It gives me an href, hypertext reference. I'll use a color, a number sign, hashtag, so that it uses a placeholder. Nothing is showing up here. Let's make this bigger. Nothing is showing up here because we don't have content within the opening and closing tag. So I'm going to paste back the content we had, and voila, we have home in there. You can do the same thing for series. Let me use a right click so I can cut and you can see what's going on. Type in A, it puts in the anchor tag, and I'm going to right click again so you can see what's actually going on and paste it. So now we have series, and just do the same thing in here for about. And just like that, we have the header with the nav. The nav actually, looks like our nav has just the image, right? But we wanted our nav to include these links. So I'm going to use another shortcut, which I'm going to show you right here under edit or other selection. You can move a line down by using Alt and down arrow. So I'm going to use that, Alt and down arrow, and you can see it's moving that line down. All of a sudden, our unordered list is now within the nav. That looks good. Next up, we need to add a button at the end. Button, you can make it to be disabled, you can make it a submit button, a reset button, but we're just going to use button like that and give it a name of subscribe. So here we have the subscribe button, but we also need to add it to a link, right? So I'm going to cut that and use a link. This time around, I'm going to actually copy the link from my YouTube channel. I can't remember what the link is, so I'm just going to cheat and come in here and copy it from the header we had in here. Oops, not the head, but the header. So the link is right there. That link is going to take you directly to how you actually subscribe to my channel. And now it has a link. We can fix all of those later. Just like that, we have the top part done. So let me maximize this so you can see the code clearly. We have the nav opening at 12 and closing at 20, which includes an image, an unordered list of menu items. We can add more menu items as we need, and a button, call to action, what you need to be done. If it's a church website or a non-profit website, maybe you need a donate button instead of a subscribe button. Just like that, we're done with the header. Awesome. Now let's move on to the body, the main. But as you already know, I prefer going into the footer before getting to the main because the main could become quite cumbersome. So let's check the footer. Footer has a div, which pretty much is just a group of elements that really act together. In this case, we wanted to add social media icons, I think. Yeah, so we're going to add an A and blank. That makes sure that it opens it in a new tab. In here, we'll call it facebook.com/ads. Yeah, I don't think there's an ad in there. Vitus DK. Awesome. So that's on Facebook. But for this link, I don't want to have a text. I want to have an image. So let's go ahead and look at it again side by side so that we can see what happens when we add that image. So I'm going to press enter. We're back on line 29. To add an image, I type img. And again, this is if I have multiple sources, and so on. We're just going to keep it simple. The source of my image again, // it should come from that dev. In the demo, in the images, I should have FB for Facebook. And just like that, you can see the Facebook images right there. Nothing in the body main section yet, so the head and the footer are actually touching each other. And that's about it. We need an alternative text, Facebook logo, or maybe icon, I should call it. Now, You can also create another A reference tag for blank. Let's maximize this again. So you can see on line 31, if I need to duplicate line 31, I can go ahead and use Shift Alt down, and I don't need to retype it again. So all I need here now is maybe a LinkedIn, linkedin.com/in/DK Vitus. That should take you to my LinkedIn page, and in here I need to do the same thing again. Add an image, the source again, /dev demo. In my images folder, I should have LI for LinkedIn. We go back to the web page. It looks, yikes, not too good. Don't worry, we'll fix it shortly. Alternatively, we call it LinkedIn icon. For the last one, we need YouTube, youtube.com/ awesome. And in here we need a YouTube image as well. Image source is /demo, go to images and YT. Good, we're done with that div. Next we need to add copyright. Starts with an ampersand. When you type C, you see all the different types of ampersands you can have. Okay, so COPY, and it shows you an example of what it looks like. Uppercase, lowercase doesn't really matter. Okay, so copyright 2024 Vitus DK. Foundation. All right, let's take a look at it. There it is at the bottom. Looks good. Next up, we need to add back to top button. That's very easy. I would like to put it in another div. In here, we have a link that says #top. That takes you automatically to the top of the web page. Okay, and for the link, we'll just say back to top. If I can spell correctly. Awesome. That's that. Let's take a look at it. There is a link. If you click on it, it takes you back to the top. Okay. Now let's go to the model load, which is the main section. Within the main section, we did say we're going to have 4 sections. Before we get to those 4 sections, let's do our H1 and call it 100 days IT challenge. In here, we can see that H1 looks really nice. And now we need sections. And I'm going to need 4 sections. What are my 4 sections? For the very first section, what do I need? I need a paragraph, article, and so on and so forth. Just the same old, same old. And just like that, you can see we already got to 50 lines of code. It's not that much. Okay. So what do we need again? We need the introduction. This should be an introduction. So let's give them names. The ID for this should be intro section. Name for the next one. Let's make it clear and legible. This is completed section. Name for the next one is ongoing section. Again, this is going to identify each one of the sections, so we can style them differently, maybe a different background and so on and so forth. So ongoing, upcoming. All right, so for this first section, we might need to do H2, H2 or H4. H4 should be good. Let's say dates and topics. Let's go back up there. Okay, so it looks good. In here, I need to insert a video. So to insert a video is easy. Type in video, we need to specify where is the video coming from. So using that same / again, this time the videos are coming from here. The first one is the dates video, and you can see it shows up not very good. I think it's still loading. Let me go in there and zoom out so you can see. So that's the dates video. It shows up, but you don't see anything in there. Why is that? Because we haven't added controls yet. So we need to go ahead within that. Let's go right before the source and type in controls. The controls attribute is very useful, so you can see the play button, the volume, and so on and so forth. If we need it to start playing automatically, let's do auto. Autoplay, that's another attribute. Oops, I moved this. And as the page refreshes or loads up, it starts playing already. But that's not a very good user experience. You probably don't want the volume to show up when, or to surprise anyone once it starts playing. So within the video, we have the controls, we have autoplay. We're also going to make sure that when it starts playing, so now it starts playing without any sound, and then it's better. It's not all that noise and cacophony. All right, that's good. Let's add another video. The same way, video. Before I enter the source, let's go ahead and do the controls again. Do the autoplay as well. Oops. And make sure it's muted. Now I can say the source should come from videos, topics. So let's take a look at what it looks like. Now we have those 2 videos looking side by side. Good. Again, it's taking up too much space. We need to fix them at some point in time. All right, that's how you add a video, add an image, add some text, and so on and so forth. The rest is just, you know, copy and paste content in the sense of what you need to type in there. So if you look at what we had earlier, all this content, you just need to copy that, paste it in there, copy that and paste it in there, and so on. The one thing we haven't done yet is we did not embed yet from YouTube. Very simple. So we can embed and add a table. The table is going to be a little tedious. We already added an image, so embedding should be enough. And the other thing we haven't done is adding this interactive part. So let's go into YouTube first. youtube.com/Vitus DK, and we should be able to copy one of those YouTube videos from there. All right, once that is done, we could go ahead and paste it in there. Everyone should be able to know actually how to embed stuff. You know, just open the YouTube video, share. Once you click on share, you should see an option to embed. It should give you that code, which should go in there just fine. So I think I should focus on adding this interactive, where is it? Right here. That's the one we did already. Adding this interactive content for the upcoming series, as well as adding this table. All right, so let's jump back into our code. I will maximize it so it makes it easier to see. Upcoming sections we haven't looked at yet, so we need an H4. Upcoming series. Is that what I used for the last one? No, this was just dates. All right, that's fine. So upcoming series, we're going to have details. Within the details, I first of all want a summary, and that summary is going to be called series. If I check now, you should be able to see in our code or in the page, this is upcoming series, and that series. If we open it, there's nothing in there because we haven't added anything yet. So let's go ahead and add more content to the details. So we can use an ordered list, and we need, we're on series 3, so there's 7 more to go. So we're going to use 7 list items, li times 7. And the very first one should be data and SQL. Next, you should have Python and AI. I'm not sure if I can remember the order, but we should have cloud computing, cybersecurity. Probably, I'm not sure if backend comes before. I don't think so. Let's go ahead and do it anyway. Backend, web development, and then the next will be DevOps, and finally have some fun projects. Now let's take a look again. If we expand this series, it has a list of all of those in there. So each one of these has 5 topics, so we can go ahead and let's do this side by side actually. Within the data and SQL, I'm going to go ahead and add another unordered list in there. Okay, this unordered list should have 5 list items. The very first one should be, I don't know, what should we say? Intro. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Okay, and then the next one, let's say data, databases, and SQL. And let's say types, nope, not really types. Let's look at what create, with, update, and delete. And we talk about tools, and then roles. Oops, data roles. All right. So expanding this, you see what it looks like to have a nested list. There you go. So we can do the same for each one of these. All right. And section ongoing. That's upcoming, ongoing. Let's go ahead and add something known as an aside. An aside is going to insert an image. In this case, let's look, oops, not source. It's going to come from our same image folder. Let's do HTML, CSS, JavaScript image. And alternatively, let's call it HTML, CSS, JavaScript. We'll be able to use CSS to float this image to a particular location, resize it, and so on and so forth. So I'm just going to keep that there for now. But for the completed section, we did have 2 videos or 2 items in there. So let's start with H4. Again, completed series. I forgot to add an H4 in the ongoing series. So H4, ongoing series. Awesome. For the completed series, I'm going to use an H2. For the first one, which was series 1, getting into IT. And now I'm going to duplicate this. This will be series 2, getting it done, getting IT done. Just like that, we have them in here. And from there, you can have a list of all the items that you needed. So in here, we needed to have some kind of a div. Let's say within this div, we have a paragraph, or let's say you have, I'm going to add the comments this time. We have video, embedded YouTube video. Comment that out. And then we also have list, right? List of sessions, or list of, yeah, sessions is correct. So in this case, we had 2 columns. So that's what I'll use for those 2 columns. All right. Just to make this short, we're going to add those later on. For this, we have a div, and we're going to have the same 2 of these. So I'm going to duplicate it. Let's see, undo that. Duplicate and move it down just where I need it. Is that correct? Yes, I believe so. Yeah, that's good. And now everything looks messed up. That's totally fine. If it's messed up, you can always right click and format your document. Format your document, it resets everything just fine. That's good. The next thing we needed to add was, after the list of sessions, you have that table. So the table is what I'm actually interested in working on right now. So table, within your table, you can have the table header or table head. We also have a table body. Let's expand this so you can see clearly. Sorry about that. And table foot. So in the footer, we need a caption. And let's say productivity and collaboration tools, if I can spell. All right, in the head section, we're going to have 4 columns, right? So let's say TR is a row, table row. Within that table row, we have TH, which is table header. We need to have 4 occurrences. The first one is blank. The second one will be for Microsoft 365. The third is going to, sorry, yes, the third, that's correct. The third is going to be for Google Workspace. The fourth is going to be for LibreOffice. Just like that, we're good to go. We don't need anything else in the head section. This is useful because we might want to make this look different from the body of our table. So the table has this header row, it has a body and a footer. So looking at what it looks like right now, this is our table. Doesn't look very intuitive so far until we start adding stuff and styling it. So let's go back in here and in the body, add a few more rows. This first row is going to have information for word processing. Okay, so, or maybe I should start with the former name, or also known as name. Okay, so in here I'm going to need 4 cells, 4 columns that should be in that row. So I'm going to do 4. The very first one, I'm going to say AKA, for also known as. Microsoft 365 is also known as Office. Google Workspace is also known as G Suite. LibreOffice was formerly known as OpenOffice. Now if I go back to my code, you can see that's what it looks like. Not very nice, but we're going to align everything just fine. So we can go ahead and create another row. This row should have 4 different cells, let's say. This time around, call it word processing. Oops, this is word. The next one is docs. Oops, not that. And the next one should be write-up. You should be familiar with this if you've already watched my other videos. If not, that's totally fine. Go back and watch them. Enjoy it. They're very brief and they're very useful for productivity and collaboration. So that's for Word. And I'm going to do a few more. Let's see, TD4. This time around is going to be for spreadsheets. And Excel is the one for Microsoft. Sheets is the one for Google. And Calc is the one for LibreOffice. So once again, we have another row. This row should also have 4 cells. First cell again, this time around, should be presentations. And here we have PowerPoint, slides, and Impress. Just like that, we'll be able to add that. We can add a lot more, but that gives you a gist of how you can create a table using HTML. All right, let's take a look at the table again. I'm going to look at it side by side. That's what the table looks like. Very not cool. I'll do something that I would not encourage you to do. On line 48, I'm going to add a border to the table. Let's just say the border should be 1. Adding that border, you can actually see now what the table looks like. Okay, but you don't want to style your table in your HTML document. You want to style it separately in the CSS document. Okay, that's why you see this border is highlighted red, because it's one of those elements that is discontinued. That is highly recommended that you should not set it up that way. All right, but at least it gives you an idea of what this table looks like. Awesome. So I think we've covered everything without repeating ourselves. In most of the other cases, we should be able to see the functionality of how that web page was built. So next up, we're going to look at how we can style it. Looks very similar to what we have here, except I forgot the horizontal rule. Yay, that's an easy fix. So between each of those sections, you should have a horizontal row. But looks good. Excellent. So let me know what questions you have, any comments. If you learned anything new, if there's something I might have missed, please do not hesitate to let me know. Next up, we're going to look at how we can style this document and make our web page looks very, very visually appealing for us. Thank you for watching this video. Kindly like and share with others. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos.